Hello, YouTubers. Welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. I have some breaking news for you here on Christmas morning. There's two articles. First one is off of Rutgers, and it says all 92 on Syria-bound Russian military jet killed in crash, including 60 from the Red Army Choir. The first article came in at 6:25 a.m. Eastern Time, and this is how it reads. A Russian military plane carrying 92 people, including dozens of Red Army Choir singers, dancers, and orchestra members, crashed into the Black Sea on its way to Syria on Sunday, killing everyone on board, Russian authorities said. The Russian Defense Ministry said Tu-154 Tupolev planes had disappeared from radar screens at 05:25 MSK, which will be 9:25 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 minutes after taking off from Sochi in southern Russia, where it had stopped to refuel from Moscow on its way to Syria. Major General Igor Koneshkov, a ministry spokesman, told reporters that nobody had survived. The area of the crash site has been established. No survivors have been spotted, he said. An unnamed ministry source told Russian news agencies no life rafts had been found, while another source told Interfax agency that the plane had not sent an SOS signal. In televised comments, President Vladimir Putin, speaking in St. Petersburg, declared December 26th National Day of Mourning. The jet, a Soviet-era Tupolev plane built in 1983, had been carrying 84 passengers and 8 crew members. At least 60 were members of the Alexandrov Ensemble, better known internationally as the Red Army Choir, and were being flown out to Russia's Hmeym Air Base in Syria to entertain troops in the run-up to the New Year. 9 Russian reporters were also on board, as well as military servicemen. Koneshkov said fragments of the plane had been found at a depth of about 70 yards in the Black Sea, about 1.5 kilometers or 1 mile off the coast near the city of Sochi. The search operations is continuing, Koneshkov said. 4 ships, 4 helicopters, and a plane and a drone are working in the area, he said, saying a military commission had flown to Sochi to look into what had happened. 6 ships from Russia's Black Sea Fleet were on their way to the crash site, and more than 100 drivers were being drafted in to search the area along with a mini submarine. Koneshkov said 4 bodies had been recovered from the sea. Russian news agencies cited a higher figure. Russia's RIA news agency, citing an unidentified security source, said preliminary information indicated that the plane had crashed because of a technical malfunction or a pilot error. Another source told Russian agencies that the possibility of a militant act had been ruled out. The weather had been good. Koneshkov said the plane had last been serviced in September and had undergone more major repairs in December of 2014. He said the pilot was experienced and that the plane had about 7,000 flying hours on its clock. According to the Defense Ministry passenger manifest, Elvita Glindka, a member of Putin's advisory Human Rights Council, was on the plane. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told reporters it was too early to say what had caused the crash. Putin was being kept constantly informed of the latest development, Peskov said. Russian military investigators said in a statement they had opened a criminal investigation into the crash. The Kremlin said Putin expressed his deepest condolences to those who had lost loved ones in the crash and ordered Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev to head a government investigatory commission. Russia's defense ministry regularly flies musicians into Syria to put on concerts for military personnel. The base they were heading for, Hmeym, is in Lakata province It is from there that Russians launch air strikes against Syrian rebels. The last big Tu-154 crash was in 2010 when a Polish jet, then carrying Lech Kaczynski and much of Poland's political elite, crashed in western Russia, killing everyone on board. Russian news agencies cited Denis Motinrov, the Russian transport minister, as saying on Sunday it was premature to talk about withdrawing the Tu-154 from service. On December the 19th, Russian military jet crashed in Syria with 39 people on board as it tried to make an emergency landing near a Soviet-era military base. Nobody was killed in that incident, though 32 people were airlifted to a hospital. Then the second article that I have on this, if I can get it to cooperate with me here, says performers headed to Syria lost in deadly Russian plane crash. This one is timed at 7:05 a.m. Eastern. It says Russian military plane carrying members of the country's official choir traveling to perform in Syria has crashed in the Black Sea near Sochi. There are apparently no survivors, according to Russian Defense Ministry. At Tupolev, and of course it wants to play something. See if we can get that stopped. There we go. A Tupolev Tu-154 plane that was carrying 84 passengers and 8 crew members disappeared from radar Sunday morning, local time, after taking off from the Adler Airport near Black Sea City, RIA Novitsky news agency reported. The plane, Moscow, was headed to Russian Humamum Air Base in Latvia. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing these names correctly. I'm not Russian. Syria, where the country has a large military presence for concert ahead of New Year's Eve, a source told Russia's state news agency TASS. Before arriving in Lakata, the plane landed in Sochi to refuel, the defense ministry's press service told Russia's Interfax news agency. According to RIA Novitsky, the defense ministry said it found debris from the missing Tu-154 in the Black Sea, 1 mile from Sochi. 4 ships and 5 helicopters have combed the crash site. Russian Defense Ministry spokesman Major General Igor Koneshnikov said, according to Russian state-run news agency TASS. It's likely not weather nor terrorism. CNN meteorologist Derek Van Dam said no major weather patterns were present at the time of the plane's disappearance. The Russian Tu-154 could have crashed because of technical malfunction or pilot error, but not terrorism. The chairman of the Federation Council Committee on Defense and Security, Viktor Ozerov, said, according to Russian Sputnik news agency, I rule out a version of the terror attack completely. It is the aircraft of the Ministry of Defense, the airspace of the Russian Federation. There cannot be such a version, Ozerov is quoted as saying. The plane had to make a U-turn after takeoff over the sea. May took the wrong direction, he says. 64 members of the renowned Alandarov ensemble, the Russian Army's official choir, were on board the plane. The Defense Ministry said in a statement. Valery Kahalov, the ensemble's coordinator, was one of the passengers. Since 1928, the Alexandrov Ensemble had grown into an immensely popular tradition due to its unending government support. It toured the world performing Russian folk songs, World War II anthems, and patriotic music, and was dubbed Russia's singing weapon. The ensemble consists of between 100 and 120 members, depending on the type of performance given. It includes a choir, dance troupe, and an orchestra. Since their performance at the airbase was going to be mostly a cappella, only the choir and a handful of dancers were aboard the plane, Russian media reported. The orchestra did not fly because the choir was supposed to use pre-recorded music. A singer in the choir, Sergei Uh, Kipnikov, who didn't make the trip because his daughter was sick, told the Interfax news agency. In addition to choir members, 9 journalists, including 3 reporters with Star TV and 8 military members, were on board as well, according to a statement from the Defense Ministry's official television network. TASS has reported that, according to the Defense Ministry, all search and rescue services of aviation units on the Southern Military District in Krasnodar and neighboring regions are engaged in aircraft search. According to TASS, the plane was built in 1983 and had 6,689 hours of flight. The last repair was on December 29th of 2014, and September 2016 it underwent scheduled maintenance, the Defense Ministry said, as quoted by TASS. The Defense Ministry also said, according to Sputnik, that it had identified the pilot as Roman Volkov, describing him as a Class II pilot with more than 3,000 hours of flying, TASS reported. On Sunday, the temperatures of the Black Sea were around 50 degrees Fahrenheit, which makes hypothermia inevitable after about an hour in the water, Russian media said. One body believed to be one of the crash victims was found more than 3 miles off the Sochi shores. Konashkov said, according to Sputnik, 4 bodies in total have been retrieved, a source at the emergency services told TASS. The body has been lifted on board of the rescue vehicle, Konashkov said. Reports Russian military plane wreckage found in the Black Sea, and there is a video here that you can take a look at in this article. The article goes on and says the Russian Investigation Committee has launched a routine criminal investigation of the Tu-154 to examine potential violation of rules of flight, safety, or preparation. The committee's official spokesman, Svetlana Petrenko, told TASS. The committee plans to seize documents and interrogate those who prepared the plane for flight, she added. Russian President Vladimir Putin has ordered Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev to launch and lead an investigation the Tu-154 crash, according to Russian news agency Sputnik. So there you have the 2 articles on the plane crash, and in case you just tuned in and wonder what in the world this is all about, all 92 on Syria-bound Russian military jet killed in a crash, including 60 from the Red Army Choir.